Alrighty, we're moving on to a new unit. This one is Introduction to Geometry. Congratulations on making it so far through the year. We're almost done. This is just going to kind of give you a preview of a few things that that maybe will help you with next year, and also are a nice way to use everything that we've covered algebra-wise into a geometrical setting. So the first thing is the midpoint. So you've probably already heard about midpoint. Maybe you've even learned the formula in previous math classes. What a midpoint is just halfway between two other points. So we can start off by just looking at midpoints between numbers, and then extend that to midpoints between actual coordinate points on a coordinate plane. So a lot of these you can just do in your head by thinking about what's halfway between. So for example, find the midpoint between these two numbers, 0 and 12. So what's halfway between 0 and 12? Well, you can do that in your head. It's 6. What's halfway between 4 and 16? That one's not quite as easy to do in your head, so take some time thinking about it right now. If you count your way through by whatever method of your choice, you'll see that 10 is halfway between them. So from 4 up to 10 is plus 6, and from 16 down to 10 is minus 6, so it's halfway between them. How about halfway between negative 3 and 9? Try that one in your head. The answer is 3, because it's up 6 and then down 6. And how about halfway between negative 6 and positive 6? That one I hope is easy to see. It's 0, halfway between positive and negative. So what if the numbers were a and b? Well, if they're not numbers, yikes, now you have to think about a pattern instead of thinking about just numbers. So how did you get 6 out of 0 and 12? How did you get 10 out of 4 and 16, etc., etc.? There's lots of different ways you can do it. Some students, they take the two numbers and they count plus 1, minus 1, plus 1, minus 1, work their way till they're in the middle. Another thing you can do, though, which is very simple, is just add these two numbers together and then divide it by 2. So if you add 0 and 12, you get 12. Divide by 2 is 6. 4 plus 16 is 20. Divided by 2 is 10. Negative 3 plus 9 is 6. Divided by 2 is 3. And negative 6 plus 6 is 0. Divided by 2 is still 0. So your formula to find the halfway between two numbers is to add them together and divide by 2. That's the average, which is halfway between. Okay, so we can take this idea and we can apply it to points. Okay, so the midpoint formula is, well, any coordinate point, it has an x-coordinate and a y-coordinate. Oh, this should be a 2 right here. That's a big typo on my part. I apologize. So if you have two coordinate points, like for example here, and you want the midpoint between them, it's going to be in the middle, right? Well, that's halfway. If you look at the x-axis, halfway between these two is also halfway between these two, and it's also halfway between these two. So it's halfway up, and it's halfway over. Well, horizontally side to side, that's your x values. So you take halfway between the two x values by looking at the formula for halfway between two things, and you take the formula for halfway between the y value for the y value. So you're just applying this halfway idea once to the x and once to the y. So it's very straightforward. Let's do a couple examples. First, plot the 2 points and find the midpoint and plot it. So first point, 2, 4 over 2 up 4 is going to be right here. And negative 6, negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 6, negative 2. So we should label our axis here a little bit, just so it's clear. So this point, if I draw a line connecting these two, well, it's not a very good line. We anticipate the midpoint to be somewhere along this very poorly drawn line. So let's find it. Look at the x-coordinates. This one is negative 6. This one is 2. What's halfway between negative 6 and 2? Well, the trick is to add them and divide by 2. What's 2 plus negative 6? That's negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, comma. And now halfway vertically, we're here at negative 2, and we end up here at 4. So halfway between 4 and negative 2, if you add them together, you get positive 2. Divide that in half, and you get 1. So the midpoint is negative 2, 1. And if we go negative 2 up 1, we can see it right there, right in the middle of my drawn line. So that this length right here is the same as this length right here. So that those two pieces are the same. Let's do it over here. Plot these 2 points. Negative 1, 7 is negative 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 1 point. up 7 and back 1, and 6, negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and down 2. So 6, negative 2. And it's good to always label your points. So here's a line connecting them. Again, not drawn very well because I'm on a computer with a mouse, but you can do better. Halfway between a 6 and a negative 1. Add them together, you get 5. Cut it in half, you get 2.5, comma, 7 and negative 2. Add those together, 7 and negative 2, you get 5. Cut it in half, you get 2.5. So it's 2.5, comma 2.5 is your midpoint. Let's see if that's what we got. Over 1, 2.5, up 1, 2.5. Wow, I'm surprised that it came out so well. So that is the midpoint. And if you did this on graph paper and you drew everything really nice with a ruler, if you actually measure this line segment here and this line segment here, you would see that they came out to be exactly the same. So this is the formula for midpoint, but really I encourage you to shy away from trying to memorize this as some kind of formula. Just think about the concept. You're halfway between two things. So if you know the two x values, find halfway between them, and if you know the two y values, find halfway between those, and you'll be set. All right, I'll see you in class.